Thanks for joining all. We're going to get going here in a minute.
I just moved us into where everybody is, so it's just easier. Sorry, guys. Nelson and I were just chatting at the door. And other people turned up, so I thought
you guys are the stars of the show, and here we are waiting.
No stars.
I didn't know where I was.
Welcome to my life, Nelson. So did you go all out with? We were just talking about Thanksgiving in America. Did you go all out? Did you have the turkey and the whole shebang and all that?
Yeah, I mean, usually it's kind of a traditional thing, like turkey, mashed potatoes, gravy, and stuffing or filling or whatever.
Cranberry sauce.
Yeah, like it's pretty it's not like extravagant. Like I feel like a lot of times.
What's the difference between Thanksgiving dinner and Christmas dinner then?
Well, that can vary. So some people will have ham on Christmas. I don't know.
Yeah. So here, obviously, I mean, I think turkey's overrated. I always go for beef.
Yeah, turkey has to be made just right for me to even like it. Like it can. Yeah. It can.
But it's so expensive, right? May as well buy chicken.
I don't know. I'm not even sure how it compares. It seems like every store is giving away a free turkey.
Oh wow!
Like all the grocery stores give away a free turkey because they want you to come in and buy something. I don't know.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's weird. Like all the time. Yeah.
That's why you go to America, get a free turkey. Fly home. Bring it with me. Yeah. So what do you think to this whole Cosmos thing, Nelson? It's pretty wild, isn't it?
Well, I was in here the other day moving around, and now I'm stuck with gallery view. Here. Oh, wait. Okay, there's a pop-up.
Top right corner, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a map. Oh, map. Yeah, you don't think... Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. I like the concept.
What's really cool, what we don't do it as often as we want to, but there's actually games you can play. So we have my favorite, which is Battleships, but that's a 2-person game. And then there's things like poker or word association and those kind of games, which is really cool.
Oh, so it looks like some guests are out in this other area. Is that?
I don't know where they're going. They're just wandering around.
Oh, they're just
enjoying the speakery. Yeah, maybe we can try and pull them in like ours. If you go Roby, or if you go to the people and then you just can be by them, and then on the right hand side under conversations you can move to this conversation.
Down there already. Ben went.
Ben, you can pull the person to the conversation if they're a bit lost. You can on the left hand side under conversations, you can say move to this conversation, and then it'll move you and then everybody that you're talking to.
Oh, I did not realize that.
So if you want to do that, just to kind of pull some people in, and then we can always start having our little chats in a bit.
Well, I'll go ahead and share the link one more time here.
It's hard because it's always a time zone that's always hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know there's one guy that turned up at 12 o'clock because the time zone on our Facebook thing was wrong. So I was like, oh, sorry. Yeah. Once you share, then maybe we could just start, and people can always just turn up. We are recording this just because.
Yes, I put it on there.
If anybody wants to watch, come in. They can watch it back.
Okay.
And Nelson's got a bit of a sore throat, so he can watch himself in pain.
Yeah, I can barely talk, people. I guess me and Peter were talking at the door. You may not have heard us, but I woke up
Okay.
with like a deeper voice than ever, I think. But hopefully that gets filtered out.
Yeah. So Nelson's got a sore throat, so we'll just be kind to him, everybody.
I'll just let Peter talk.
I'll just talk the whole time. It was quite cool. Like I don't know if everybody knows about that Divi Bonanza thing that we did. That was quite cool. I enjoyed it this time. Nelson had all the hard questions. I felt like you were targeted.
I don't know. I don't think so. It felt pretty random the way the questions were coming out. Yeah, for context, it's like the Divi meetup thing. Yeah. And then like a couple of the bigger Divi meetups create one big Divi meetup for Black Friday, and then Raquel from Elegant Themes is like a host. And she was asking the questions. Me and Peter were like sort of talking behind the scenes. We were wishing we had different questions, which, there's no way to control that. But
it's quite funny, isn't it? I think what first question did I have? Like why did I get into how did I get into doing Divi? And I was thinking, that was like the least most interesting.
Yeah.
But it's all good. Well, I think we can just start, and then people turn up, they turn up. But welcome everybody to this informal workshop with Nelson from PI. I don't think any of us need, or maybe we could do a little introduction, but most people know Nelson and myself. And I was just thinking, Nelson, I don't know, my brain is a bit dead when it comes to memory, but I was just thinking how we first met, because you and I go back a little while now.
Yeah, I remember. Now let me see here. Sorry, I have a few notes, but so I don't remember when, but I think it was like 2018, because sorry, I was making child themes for Divi. Like I was just getting into that in 2018, and making websites also for clients. And I remember looking up like WooCommerce, Divi plugins, something like that. And I remember you had just released Divi Body Commerce, and it did like one thing. It was like one feature, and I can't remember what it was. Something.
It was the count area. That's kind of where that's where we started off.
That was like when I remember like looking at that product, and I was like, oh, okay, I could use this. And then I guess you had Divi Engine, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I do remember I remember seeing the verse in your footer, and I messaged you.
And then we were chatting.
Yeah, and then we just started chatting.
It's pretty amazing to see like how far both of us have come since then, isn't it? Body commerce from that point has grown into a beast, and other stuff coming from that. Actually, funny enough, everybody, the name Divi Machine for our one plugin actually comes from Nelson. It was Nelson's idea for the name.
So I tell people that sometimes. When people are asking me if I have something to do this and that, I'll be like, this sounds like Divi Machine. And then I give them a link, and then I'm like, oh, by the way, I named this plugin.
Taking the credit. Well, you should.
Well, I was trying to think of a way to do that within like, I don't know, like a blog module or something, like all that it does. And I showed you like my mock-ups, design mock-ups, and you were like acting a little funny, and you were like, yeah, I already have this like in development. I was like, oh, okay. Well, then I'm not even going any further than the design.
Yeah, I was like, oh, sorry, man, I hate to do it, but
well, it was a blessing, because obviously I only had like a concept, and it wouldn't have worked. My concept wouldn't have worked anyway, or at least it would have been pretty hacky.
There's some crossovers from our plugins, aren't there? Like your dynamic helper kind of crosses over that, doesn't it?
Well, only on like a single page. So that's one thing people, do not like about it. Like they would like I can't build a loop. or it's more of like that plugin specifically just as like if you want to have a video in a custom field and display it in a video module, it can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But like beyond that, like getting into like you're building like a display for then the custom post types, it doesn't do anything like that.
Yeah. Because you tend to stick, I mean, and I think that's what works really well with your plugins is you tend to stick within Divi native modules and kind of enhance those, don't you? Which
so I have been realizing that's probably my niche or niche, however you say it in your part of the world, because especially with this whole Divi 5 thing, it made me think about it more, and I'll get into that later. But so yeah, like I feel like actually let's backtrack, because I want to talk about your part in this. Back in 2018, I was making like child themes or whatever, and I just remember you saying like, "Hey, you should try to make a plugin," and I was like, "Well, I don't know how to make plugins," and you really encouraged me to pursue it, and so I appreciated that. So just letting everyone know here, Peter's kind of my what do you call it? Informal mentor of some sort, motivator or a coach, or I don't know what you call it, but so with that said, like Peter and I have often behind the scenes talked about, man, I am losing my voice. We've talked about products that we're both working on, and wouldn't you know, sometimes we have the same idea at the same time.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Like that has happened many times. Like we'll message each other and say, "Hey," like just sort of like catching up what he's working on, and we'll both have the same ideas, and it's really frustrating.
Yeah, we've tried to stay away from doing similar products because of that, but then there has been a crossover because naturally you can't stay away all the time, can you?
Yeah, and I think we both have a different way of doing it, and I think that is distinct enough that like just for an example, like the way I do it, there's going to be some limitations.
Yeah.
So I made the contact form helper. Well, I can only do so much, right?
Yeah.
I can only do so much with the existing module. Now we have like 100 features, but you went the different route and made a form maker or builder, form builder, or whatever it's called. And you have much more freedom. Plus yours is not just the contact form, whereas mine's just the contact form. So like we took a similar concept and went a different route with it.
Yeah.
And there's probably pros and cons with both.
I mean, it definitely is. I think the pros your side is it's the same as a Divi builder module. It's just extending it and it's all familiar. I think one of the things that we can do better is definitely improve our UX of our modules. And that's something that because we make it all from scratch, it becomes we have anyway. But yes, there is more freedom in terms of what we can do because we can 100% change the code within Divi's infrastructure, if you know what I mean. There's obviously some limitations there. Right. And I get where Divi 5 might change that a bit,
Yeah, like traditionally you'll see, okay, so multiple times people have come to me and they're like, why don't you make like a suite of modules? Like you see these products with 30, 50 modules. And I'm talking like a module to do everything, like Flipbox or animated text and like all the things, right? Like you can come up with 30 to probably 60 different modules. A few years ago, people were like, "You should do that," and I'm like, "Well, there's already at least a dozen of those out there. I didn't count recently, but there's maybe like 6 or so going strong today." So I would not want to try to compete with that kind of plugin. And that's where like Peter and I, we have different philosophies about like what kind of product we're going to even create. Like when we're in like that whole like brainstorming or planning, everyone has to have a different approach. And there's some people who are like, okay, that product's selling good. Like a suite of modules, so we'll also make a suite of modules.
Make the same.
And some people are fine with that, and I'm not bashing them in any way. Like, more power to them. If they're going to try to compete, I feel like you're saturating the market then. So for me, I always try to do something that no one else is doing, except now, except Peter. No. But like in general, like I try to think of something useful, something that will actually be a solution rather than a nice to have. And definitely Peter's plugins are in that category. Something that you need, like you need to build a WooCommerce store, or you need to build a full custom post type dynamic website. Like those are not just like nice little fancy things. They're like essential functionality. And so that's where I think Peter and I both have a similarity, but yet within that similarity, we have different approaches. Yeah. Anyway, I'm talking a lot, but is that like, how do you, what do you think about like when you're making a new product? Like what goes through your mind?
I was thinking, as you say, I think you and I are very similar in terms of we're constantly thinking about new ideas, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's my biggest downfall is, there's a few guys on our team, or we always, we come up with all these cool ideas, and it's about trying to, not getting sidetracked too much. I find it easy to get sidetracked with new ideas. Yeah. But I think with us, we try and find plugins that complement our current plugins. So, for example, we are launching a new plugin, Divi Membership, which is a Divi specific membership plugin. And that will then tie well with Divi Machine and Divi Form Builder, for example. So I think it's trying to find, for me, I think that's the approach that we started taking. I think the last one where we I think Divi Mega Menu was the last one that I sorry, I'm just looking, Morton's trying to get in and the wall's stopping him. The Divi Mega Menu was kind of the last one that was not really, it was, then after then it was, okay, well now we're going to start to look at how we can build ones that complement, not like add-ons, but more like, so if you want to build a nice membership website, you've got everything that kind of comes together. And we still got some way to go. And then in terms of developing it, it's quite a process trying to get that all done. I must say I always admire. It sounds like we're just sucking up to each other, but I do admire, what you do, 100%. And I think, I think the biggest asset that you have is you as you say, you're identifying problems and then fixing them. And people obviously really appreciate that, like your responsive helper, things like that. It's stuff that people use and appreciate.
I think that's where I've definitely initially got my inspiration. Like I set out to do a tutorial every week a few years ago, and I've been doing it nonstop for at least three solid years, probably maybe even 4. So a new tutorial every week. Well, when you're always thinking of new content, you also are thinking of what would solve a problem or what is a question people have. And that kind of like a constant, like I have to constantly be in like that mode, is where I get tons of ideas. It's because I'm sort of forced to be in that mode of thinking, but I like it. Like I'll go to bed at night, thinking of ideas, and then I'll have to I won't be able to go to sleep, and I'll have to get up and write it down. Like it happens all the time. But yeah, I think that's part of the process, but there's so many factors to consider. You can't just act on a whim and be like, yeah, let's make this. It's like, you're right. Does it complement? Does it fit with my products? Is there someone else doing it? Is it even a thing people would want? And what could I even sell this for? And
well, that's the hardest thing is, so for example, and I know that our plugin Divi Mobile, we could improve more, but when we first released it, there was no Divi Mobile plugin out there. And we all could agree that Divi Mobile menu sucks. I thought it would be a massive hit. And in many ways, it actually wasn't, it didn't generate as many sales as I initially thought. So it's really hard as like plugin devs like ourselves
Yeah.
to identify what everybody wants and what's going to sell. To then obviously the more it sells, the more the more we can reinvest in the product and other stuff, isn't it?
Right.
So that's a big part that if somebody can figure out and become a millionaire, if you could figure out what actually sells or what's going to be beneficial.
Yeah, there's so many factors. Like someone else may already have one that specific thing it does, that's already like a go-to, or sometimes it really surprises me which of my own products sell like more than others. Sometimes I just scratch my head. I'm not sure why. But yeah, it is what it is. All of this is like, so speaking of like all of this, like thinking of ideas. So with Divi 5 sort of like always looming, I wish I could like ask everyone, like, have you noticed, I'll ask you, have you noticed like like sort of like a pause in like new plugins? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in general, like do you think, or?
I mean, yeah, anybody else can pick it, sure. For us as Divi Engine, we had a bit of a pause. We were like, hold on a second, we can't go release new plugins now because then we're gonna have to recode them all, So if people aren't aware, we have to recode all our modules. So we had a bit of a pause, and then we kind of realized, well, we can't just pause because Divi are taking longer.
Yeah.
Then we kind of kick back in gear again.
You certainly can't pause completely. There's always going to be little improvements or bug fixes that come in from support. But like,
I mean more pause on new
ones. Yeah. New ones.
So I mean, we just focused on increasing our features in our existing products. That's kind of what we just focused on.
Right.
Did you? And yeah, so I was just thinking, did that factor anything in terms of like your developments or?
Yeah. So like a while back when Divi 5 was first like announced more officially, I mean, there were rumors of it in various places, but like when it was announced officially, we kind of had a meeting and we were like, okay, there's certain types of things we can work on. There's some things that we shouldn't work on, but we're going to anyway, because, for various reasons we need to do that. People want this feature, whatever. So you kind of have to like decide, okay, this one is worth working on, even though we're going to rebuild it. But in general, we wanted to work on anything that we thought with our best of our knowledge would not require us to rebuild it. So there's back-end things, there's back-end functionality that we'll say it's safe in general from the Divi 5 change. And so how that back-end functionality connects to the front end may change, right? So like there were some things that we went ahead with because it would only be a portion of it that we would have to rebuild. So there's like all of this, like, I mean, I'm sure if we had like a whole panel of like Divi developers, it's a stressful time in a way, just because of the unknowns, and investing. You have to like, it's like a play. Like, what do you, or a game? Like, how do you decide what to invest in right now, knowing that Divi is not like, Divi 5 is coming, but it's also not ready for us to work on, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah. Just want to open the floor. Does anybody want to pitch in terms of, did anybody else notice a decline in the development of new products for Divi?
Definitely.
I feel like. Go ahead.
Sorry,
Mark.
go on, Mark.
Definitely, I've seen more action from everybody else. Like the Sure cart and on the Fluent side and all that. Not fixed on Divi and Divi Life. They nothing big has come out of that niche.
Yeah, and I think so. For us, we focus on adding new features to our existing plugin, and luckily enough, because some of our products are quite, allows us to add some awesome features that almost require a whole new plugin in themselves, but they don't require us to build a new plugin. So we're kind of okay in many ways. But then we got to the point where we're like, we need to launch a new plugin, and that was Divi membership. And then we're like, well, let's just go ahead. And that kind of decision happened, after the whole Divi 5 dev alpha was released, because we realized, I'm not trying to bring any, negative to the whole thing, but we realized how far away it was.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think that the Divi Assistant is probably one of the bigger ones that I've seen that's come out. That's all the tutorials coming into one type of module, and it's been pretty sweet.
So that's awesome to hear from somebody, isn't it, Mark? Isn't it, Nelson? It was awesome to hear from Mark, isn't it, Nelson?
Yeah. Divi Assistant is one of those things where, like, we worked on it an entire year, like, for real. Like, I wanted it to be version 1. We'll say like 1.0 or the 1 version. Everything, like, how many features can we make that are useful, practical, will benefit a Divi user, but not have to be rebuilt. And I feel like version 1 was a success. And, like, if you guys could see my list of features that we're going to add, it's insane. And that's a lot of them we can't do yet.
So Divi Assistant focuses on helping the Divi designer better use of the Divi space. Is that right?
Yeah, like, basically, like, improves efficiency. Like, adds, like, tools that they would have to install another plugin for. Like, I've had so many people be like, yeah, I just deleted 3 or 4 plugins, and it's really cool to hear that. Yes. And you can either enable or disable whatever you want, and, like, the code's not running. The code's not running until you enable a setting. So it's like, and then you can export everything. And so what you can do is, like, use, like, one site as, like, your what do you call it? Like your
boilerplate.
Boilerplate. Okay, there you go. You can use one site like that, and you can get it exactly how you want. Or here's another thing: you could have multiple boilerplates for different kinds of clients. Yeah. And then all you do is export, and you can just save this, for client type A or whatever. And then when you go install WordPress, you just import, and there's all your stuff. It's all there. And we're adding, like, all the Divi, like, theme options and theme builder and customizer.
And I guess the benefit of it is, people probably could do a lot of the stuff themselves with your tutorials, right?
Sure. Oh yeah, sure.
It's the ease of not having to do that.
Not quite everything. Like, there's some things, you know how it is. Like, some things I can't say. Here's, like, the ginormous PHP.
Yes, no.
But, like, yeah, like, in general, I don't know what percentage. 80% of things could probably be done with custom code. But, like, and so we have, like, a whole series of tutorials coming where we will literally tell you how to do something that we have in our plugin. And that may sound crazy. And there will probably be some people who are like, I'm not buying that. I'm just going to use the free snippets. And you know what? That's fine. There's going to be other people who will be like, fool you with this? Let's just turn on a setting, and it's up to you. But yeah, I do like that idea of, like, here's how you do it with a snippet. Here's how you do it with a setting. Boom,
well, that's one. I mean, talking about that, that's actually one success story in your story. Like, I'm not trying to say that, you're a massive success, because we're all still small businesses, right?
Yeah.
But what you have done really well, and I think people can learn this in any industry, and it's something that I've always spoken about, is to become the teacher, or become like, like you call yourself, or your Facebook group's the Divi teacher. But, if you can educate people, then who are they going to go to when they need help? You know? They're going to go to you. So if you run a marketing agency, for example, or a web design agency, teach people how to do stuff. Tell them how you do your, if you run Facebook ads and you have some special hack or something, tell people about it. Don't be scared, because then when they can't do it themselves, who they're going to turn to? They're going to turn to you. So like Nelson's obviously giving away these amazing tutorials, but when people can't do it, who they're going to turn to? Nelson, and that's something that I think has been a big success, in your story.
Yeah. It's just everyone finds their own like way of doing things. I'm not sitting back here with some devious plan or anything. It's just like I get up in the morning and kind of do my thing. Like Peter alluded to, like we're just small businesses. We talk back and forth about our kids or like our families. Like this was a tough year. Like I told my email subscribers, like this was a tough year. Like all of our costs went up. Like everything went up. I mean, just obviously groceries and housing and everything, but I'm talking about even just like development related costs went up. So, and it's like people, I don't know. I mean, how do you define success? Like we're successful. I think Peter and I are successful, but like we're not rich. I mean, I hope people know that we're just like normal people making a living for our family. It just so happens that it's something we love doing. I'll
tell you what though, like, you're right. But anyway, what defines successful is a whole different, it's a whole different conversation. Because for me, what I find is successful is being significant or being, it's not money or not fame. It's basically how you treat others. Really, is like how I grade success. But that's a whole different subject.
Well, what I don't know. Some people might be here for Divi 5. Do you want to talk a little about that, or?
Yeah, I mean, before we go into that, Donnell, did you have a question quickly? I see you raise your hand.
Yeah, 1 second. No, I'll get rid of that first. So I'll get rid of that. Nelson, very nice to meet you. Peter is used to me knowing him, so and Robbie. So nice to meet you. Just a couple of questions for you. You talked there that with your new plugin, which I bought over the weekend. Thank you very much.
Oh wow! Yeah.
That the settings can be exported. What are the chances of being able to upload the settings to a Divi Cloud account?
I have not even considered that, so I'm not sure what all you can put in there.
We'll leave that float because it would just support the workflow to be able to install Divi, then go bang and just recover from the cloud rather than having to export and import. Right. So
what I love is people's ideas like this. It's an amazing idea, but the reality, that to me just gives me a headache. But it does sound like an awesome
It would be awesome. Yes, I imagine that their privacy and security are going to make that really difficult because you're literally like logging into their system.
That was just one thought, and the other thought. I know you've got a map of what you want to do in the future, but if I were to just say there's one very small thing that annoys me, and it's a little bit of CSS I have to bring into every website just to be able to swap columns on mobile.
Right.
A button. No, I was looking at kind of the idea of building a whole thing to be able to do that. But as you said, that's another plugin. And do you want the plugin just to, overcome 3 or 4 lines of CSS? But if it was there along with the section settings where you could just click the button and swap on mobile,
that'd be good.
It's nothing dramatic, but it's just a little stone in the shoe. It's just annoying.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, we have all kinds of stuff like that on our list, but some of that we're getting into the builder, and the builder is going to be changing. So we're just like we're being very careful with what we do, and if we're all patient, trust me, there's going to be a tremendous amount of things like that we can do. Eventually, it's just we're just not trying to get like we say the cart before the horse. But yeah, I have a form in that plugin for people to send in feature suggestions. That's been really cool because I get all these emails like, what is it? Oh yeah, this is from Divi Assistant's built-in form. And that's actually really cool. I get so many feature suggestions and I put everyone on the list. Yeah, we have a lot of fun stuff coming that won't affect Divi 5 too. So there's going to be multiple like 1.1, 1.2 updates, etc. Anyway,
We're excited to see what happens there, aren't we?
Yeah, it's like a whole new wow, what do we call it? Era.
It's a whole new journey, I think, for you. It's quite a big flagship plugin now, isn't it? But yeah, let's jump onto Divi 5 a little bit, and then we can always come back if we want. So I guess one of the things I want to talk about is because I don't know if everybody knows where we're at in terms of Divi 5. So I think that's kind of a good way to start. And yeah, that's where I naturally see starting. So we're in the dev beta right now.
Right. So we're in the dev beta. So there was a dev alpha, and we were told not to start working on dev alpha just because it was more of like, here's sort of like the basics to get familiar with.
Yeah.
Then they went to dev beta, but within that, see, sometimes I think people see that as like a version, like they may have think it was just going to be like dev alpha and then dev beta and then public alpha and public beta, but there's multiple like versions within each of those. So like right now we've already had dev beta 6 release. So there's updates every, I don't know, what is it, 2 or 3 weeks? Maybe.
I mean, to be honest, I've lost a bit of track on that.
It's something around that, like maybe every 3 weeks. Yeah, about. There's a whole new update, and then they have like a whole change log and updated docs for that update. And so, like with each of them, they'll like rebuild like 5 modules, for example, and then like, because they're also rebuilding their modules.
Modules, yes.
And then we can look at those and see how they did it and stuff. But it's sort of like the ones we're waiting for are like not done yet.
It's also hard because the limited documentation, as well as it's when I last kind of really dived into it, you couldn't do a whole lot, and it needed to. It changed, and it is changing. So it's hard because you want to get involved, but then if you get involved and you can't really do it, or you kind of spend a lot of time figuring it out, and it ends up changing, it's a waste of time, So
yeah, we had one product we were working on like that, just to explore, to at first we were like, oh, we gotta go, like dev beta's released, gotta go. Because naturally we all want to be current, we all want to be prepared, and we found ourselves just like completely rebuilding it like 3 times. We were just like, we're not doing this. Yet. But yeah.
And so I guess those are the negatives that we have as developers, right?
Sure. Yeah.
The other negatives are having to rebuild all the modules, but there are a lot of positives. I mean, from my little test my test that I did do, Divi 5 did seem a whole bunch faster, and it got rid of that dreaded double load.
Yeah, well, the builder itself is faster also, and I think hopefully that's not like an illusion or something.
Or like once it's all done, then it'll be slow again. Let's hope it's not.
Yeah. But I think they did something with like the animations of the builder or something. Like it's like when when you're in the visual builder, it's faster. Like the way you move around and stuff. And I feel like that was more like that's different than what we're talking about, like performance, back-end performance.
I mean, one thing that was mentioned at that Divi Bonanza, which I found interesting, and I didn't really think about it, was how Divi has been around for so long, so many years. It was, and apparently it was one of the first kind of page builders. And if it's been around for that long, the code is a bit redundant in many ways. You know, it's hard to work with. And I can relate to that a bit with body commerce. You know, when we started body commerce, we only did the account area. And looking back, I think, I could have, if I knew where I was going to go now, I would have coded it slightly different. Not saying that body commerce, you know, but anyway, it's not saying it's bad, but it's just a case of saying, hey, like, you know, so I think understanding that is quite interesting, because then that makes sense to why it needs to be kind of redone and re-looked at, because a lot's changed since then. The whole world's changed. Well, the whole industry's changed since then.
Yeah, isn't it like 15 years from Elegant Themes itself? That's not Divi, but like that's not.
I'm trying to think of Divi was released.
That's not Divi, like we'll say 3.0. You know, like Divi. I mean, that's kind of what it went mainstream more than ever. Like Divi 3.0, that was 2016, I believe.
Yeah, it was 2013 when it was released. So
and then it was just like competing with like Avada and like ThemeForest stuff for a while.
Well, that's 10 years ago it was released. So that's quite, and especially in our world, that is a long time. So I can see why they have to do that to kind of really move forward. So the positive, the positives, I think, for the Divi user outweigh, the negatives. Us as developers, it becomes harder, doesn't it?
Right, and so like I forget who. I don't think I came up with this analogy. I think Nick or someone did. Like, imagine you're all on a boat going across the ocean, and you're like, well, this boat is no longer like sustainable. It's no longer good. We have to rebuild the boat, but we can't let it sink as we rebuild it. Like what? Like that's not even like that feels.
Yes.
Like that. If you were in charge of that or whatever, like where would you even start? So that's why we'll say that's why it's taking so long. They could have said, all the existing sites are like 4 point something, right? Divi 4 point something. All new sites will be this new system, Divi 5 point something. But instead, they went the route of we'll say migrating from Divi 4 to Divi 5. And some other like competitors were like sort of looking on and like, oh, wow. Like I would have just started over and it would already be released a year ago, They could have. Like they could have been like, here's Divi 4, we're going to keep supporting it for like, 10 years or whatever. And then here's Divi 5, which is like a whole new system. They could have done that. It would have been much easier, but then it would have been also very annoying for the users. So with this whole transition, they are keeping the users, I would say, at the forefront. And I think it's something we need to give them credit for.
That's interesting that you say that. I didn't really think about that really.
I think they get a lot of criticism for taking a while, but it's very difficult. And they are keeping the user at the forefront. They're going to have a migrator. Now, keep in mind, you're not going to go from like Divi 5 dev beta to public. What they're going to do when you get like the public alpha, that is only for new sites. Like you would not be able to upgrade from an existing 4.0 to public alpha. Does that make sense? So like you won't be able to do that. Public alpha and maybe even public beta, I'm not sure, will just be for new sites. But when it's all said and done, you will be able to go from 4 point something to 5, public. And there'll be a migrator that will help you. It'll be like a nice user interface to help you. So anyway.
And from the tests that I've done, most of the modules actually still work on the front end. It's just in the back end, the visual builder, that you just can't use them. So
yeah.
Worst case scenario, if there's a website, they don't need to use the builder. Upgrading, from the initial test should be okay.
Yeah.
But obviously, with everything as we know, things
Yeah.
cannot be as simple as that.
Yeah, and so there are some developers who are probably going to have a bigger task ahead of them than others. You know, if you have 60 modules, well, that's more. Is that even more than Divi has? You know, there's some companies that are going to have to probably get a team, you know, and really, you know, really go at it hard and convert all of those mods, rebuild all those modules.
Do you think there'll be quite a few plugin developers that fall by the wayside?
Oh, it could sort of be a, I don't want what terminology, like a refining of like who stays.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like,
I'm just thinking, because I think, you know, if Sony needs to significantly change their whole plugin or hire a dev team, and they're not earning enough to kind of, you know, they're still kind of just getting started. Will they commit to it? You know, it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
That is a good point. Yeah, that would be interesting.
I think that's something that Divi could do better is, you know, better API or better way to kind of get us going quicker. So one of the ways with the old kind of Divi 4, you could, you know, create an extension, and it'll then just create a Divi extension, all the code for you, all in place, and then you can get going. I would love to see them do that with regards to a module. So kind of create a module. So you kind of type in, you know, Divi create a module, and then you name the module, and then it just outputs all the code, you know, the PHP code, whatever, and then it then allows you to then code quicker. Anyway, so that's something.
I feel like they are, but I don't know. I feel like I've seen talk of that.
Maybe it was me. I was shouting at them, and not shouting, but I was mentioning.
Maybe I saw you. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've seen that conversation.
In the Slack.
Or the Discord thingy. Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe we talked about it enough. One thing, let's just say it. Like I know Peter and I are committed to the whole transition. We'll just say that. Like, I get messages from people and like, hey, I want to buy your plugin, but like, is it gonna work with Divi 5? And it's like, oh, that's such like, how do I like, yes, like it will, like, yes, we're in this for the long haul. So
and it all depends on time, isn't it? That's the other thing that we can discuss is, yes, you know, Divi, it's still not in the right position for us to go all guns blazing yet. It will be hopefully soon. And when it is, you know, we both of our companies will commit to, you know, making it compatible. And it's the time that comes down to it, isn't it? You know, and
it's a huge like investment, and it's almost like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how that's going to be financially. We don't know. Like, I just don't know. I do know that my team, I asked my team like for some numbers or whatever. I was checking in on. We're actually already doing like 30 to 40 hours a month on Divi 5. And what that amounts to is not like converting an existing module, but more of like preparation and practice and awareness. Just like following the docs and trying like doing things like for practice and to be aware of how it works. And so I'm really happy. I think my developer was on here earlier, but he left, I think. But either way, I don't know. There's also like, me and Peter have talked about this. There's also like, there's not just like me or just, it's not just Peter. Like, Peter has a team. I have a team. I guess for me, my company is my face, I guess. Maybe Roby is the face.
Roby's the face of Divi Engine, isn't he?
For better or worse. Probably worse.
Well, so, you know, when I started Divi Engine, you know, it was just me, myself doing everything. And then I realized that I'm not very good in front of the camera, or I can't really, like talking like this, I'm happy to. But when it comes to, oh man, I can't do videos. And people really love video tutorials. So then that's when Roby definitely does it better. So I'm like, hey, take it away. And he has awesome Hawaiian shirts that he wears. So he just rocks those. Yeah, no, with like with Divi 5, I mean, I must admit we haven't spent too much time on it because I'm kind of the guy that's, I learn best by doing,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just the way I've always been, and it's not I don't know which is the best method, but I've always just learned best by doing, and it is similar to the way Gutenberg is built. So I think if anybody wants to learn or anything, there's tons of stuff on Gutenberg, and I think if you learn about that, you're not going to go wrong. So anyway, so I think it's all by time. So all I would say is in the industry is just give the developers a bit of time to kind of catch up. once we can actually start, we all get going. And I'm seeing it as a bit of a positive. I mentioned body commerce and how I would look at it differently. I think when we approach this, we're going to kind of look at our modules and think, how can we do this better? What can we change? Divi Mobile, for example, when we released Divi Mobile, there was no theme builder. So it's all in the theme customizer. The theme customizer is so buggy. It is horrible. And people now obviously use Divi Mobile, but it's not the best experience. Whereas now we can then, convert it to a module and then bring it up to date with the theme builder and then make it a better plugin. And, there's positives that we can look from this. And I think any Divi developer that commits to converting it, I would applaud, because it's not like a revenue generating thing, is it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, it's I guess an investment. I mean, yeah, right. Yeah. We could spend so just here's what you could do. This is not either Peter or I, but you have, our panel has probably seen plugins come out. It does, ABC, whatever. And then it sits there and there's no support and there's no updates, but people keep buying it. Now that's one way to make money. You could just do that and do a shadow company. And you could sit through the whole Divi thing, Divi 5 thing. And there could be companies that could continue to have sales, maybe people who aren't as aware. And then they might just disappear. And so they might still be making money and not putting any money back into it. Whereas for Peter and I, it's like a constant churn. We made this amount of money this week or this month. Boom, put it back into making this next feature. And now that cycle, we'll say, is getting all messed up because we're looking for Divi 5, and now there's a whole nother thing that gets added. So I sometimes I worry how am I gonna make it? I'm just being real here. I don't know. Maybe it'll go well. Maybe it's
what we do know is and I think I don't want to get all soppy, but the way we treat people and the way we treat our customers and the way we treat each other and the way we treat our business, it only bodes well for that, if we out there just to kind of, steal people's money and move on, then, it's probably going to come back and bite you, So, yes, and I think that's the biggest thing is reinvesting wisely is kind of the hardest thing I have over this whole year, over this whole 2 years. I mean, there's a lot of mistakes that I've made and you've probably made, but overall,
there's always those things where I tell my wife, I was like, well, I just blew $3,000 on that, and that was my own dumb fault, or whatever. That was, I made a mistake. I did the wrong, and it's yeah.
with it's how you learn from those, isn't it? That shapes the business or shapes you as a person.
Yeah.
So I think Divi 5 I mean, I think overall, it'll be a good thing, but it'll be hard at the same time.
Yeah, like in in 3 years from now, when the dust has settled, we'll say,
Yeah.
like everyone's gonna be very happy, like with Divi. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna be some growing pains, we could say. Maybe if we look at it that way, like Divi growing to like a whole nother level. And with that, there's going to be some challenges along the way for users maybe and for us. And so I think we're all gonna make it together. And I'm telling you what, like sometimes you get the nicest messages from customers and it makes your day. Like I don't know if Peter, I don't know if you see that like support or whatever. Like
but that's going on to that. That's going to the next thing I was going to ask, and you can carry on talking now. I was going to say, what customers do you go the extra mile for?
Oh man. I mean, the normal, polite, respectful ones, maybe. Like I don't know. Like what are you thinking? Like,
so I mean, obviously with time, we only have so much we can do in a day, right? And it's hard to help a little bit more than what's actually part of the plugin, isn't it? And it's so hard. You fight your own self to like actually make it strong. And the people that demand it are the people that you just say no, sorry, I can't, But sometimes I don't know. It's just interesting, as you say, with the people who give you nice feedback and like are your biggest advocates and who support you. It really goes a long way for us as devs. Like sometimes you can only look at the bad things and not the positives.
Or their approach. So like if I get a message and it's like, hey, I know you're busy, just get to this when you have a chance. Like no hurry. Yeah. And then it's like, I know this isn't support, but I just wanted your advice on this thing. Like I'll look at that. But I get other messages where it's like, so with me, it might happen more than you. I don't know, because of my tutorials. I'll get messages all the time about my tutorials. And I have like a little thing I just say back, like, actually, like if you came to our contact page, it literally says, like, if you have a question about a tutorial, please leave it in the comments, because that way everyone can see it. Everyone could reply. And I also have an assistant that replies to those every week. He's a front end developer. He replies to like stuff that is well beyond the tutorial. Like we're super generous in that, but I don't want that in my support inbox. Does that make sense? Like I kind of draw the line. And so sometimes I will get it and I'll just say, hey, just go ahead and leave this as a comment. And most people are okay with that. But it's annoying where like, if they choose like a specific product, this support is about technical issue with this product. And then like they have this demanding question of like, I need to do this in Divi. Please tell me how. And it's like, that's not related to this product. Have a good day. It's like, anyway.
Working with that has definitely it's challenged me the way that I treat other people in customer service. 100%. 100%. Because I have this big thing where I struggle with incompetence when I go places and people don't serve you well. I really struggle with that. And then
and I tend to.
It got me thinking, like, how do you kind of promote people to treat you well? And I think it's the way that you treat them, isn't it?
I mean, some days I'll tell my wife, like she'll see that I'm really frustrated. I'm typing away a reply or whatever, and I'll be like, this person, But I gotta tell you, like that is so rare. But I tell you what, for me, and this is my weakness. I tend to allow that 1 in 1,000 person who's taking all of their problems out on me to ruin my day. Yeah. And I'm working on it. I'm trying to get better at that. But you know what I mean? Like it's 1 in like 1,000, and they're gonna leave a bad review, and they're just so mad. But it's nothing about any of my product. Like it's just like, oh, did they have a divorce, or did they have a fight, or you know what I mean? Like it's one of those things. And I've been trying so hard. I'll tell you one quick story. I got one of them recently. Obviously, I'm not going to say names, but I got one of them a month ago, maybe. And this person was so angry, and they were just frustrated. You could tell every word they typed. You could tell they were just so frustrated. And I would calmly reply. Like, I'm so proud of myself when I give like this real nice reply. And I was so nice back that they sent me a video and they were crying. What? And here their child had just been diagnosed with like cancer or something.
Oh my goodness. And
I told my wife, I was like, I am so glad that I replied really kind. And like I recognized they weren't actually upset at me. Is that like?
Yes. Like you didn't take a personal offense. You just treated them like kindly, but yeah, it really impacted them, didn't it?
Yeah. And like now I'm like, every time I'm like gonna write something, and I also found it can be really helpful. I had one guy who was extremely demanding. You know, our plugin's not working, and he's showing me stuff that's not related to our plugin. And so I made a video. I did a screen recording and just talked. I looked at his message in the screen recording. That way he could hear my tone of voice, that I wasn't against him. You know, I'm here, I'm trying to help. And he could see that in my face, and he could see it on the screen. I'll tell you what, that works so well.
Yeah.
It helps you to get into that place too, where like, okay, I recognize, you know, this person is just having a difficult time. So I'm going to be gracious back to them. And I used to struggle with that a lot more. And I by God's grace, I do feel like I'm getting better at that. But
well, you know, that story you just told is an amazing story. And, you know what, even that is probably, it just shows, you know, it's like, you see evidence of that, you know, coming through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is, yeah, because like all of us, all of our lives, no one has an easy life. We all have hardship in our lives. So, yeah. You just challenge me to make sure that I'm speaking with love and respect. Because often I'm so busy and I just write like pretty
that you know when there's a developer replying like what it but like I do try to keep that in mind. And like Nick Roach, everyone knows Nick Roach. So if you've ever seen him in like the Facebook groups, there's one thing that I would say I have in common with him that I'm not proud of. He can be sarcastic, and I'm sure he knows that. I'm not bashing him. It's just his way of wording things. He can come across as a little like snippy. And I have struggled with that so much myself. And like there's sometimes where I'm like, I just want to say this sarcastic thing, and then I remember, who am I, right? Like I remember that I'm not that person. Peter and I are Christians, so but even just treating other people with love, like that's like such a. Sometimes I'll type something out and be like, I can't send that. I'll backspace it all. Like that is not who I am. That's not. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I just saw a message from Morton, who's he said he's sick in bed, but unfortunately he has the most awesome voice. If Morton was if Morton was well, you would hear the best voice in the industry. I don't know if it's his mic or what it is, but I want to steal his voice so I can do videos. He said it'd be great to know now that you have to rebuild the modules for Divi 5 if you can focus more on accessibility, semantic HTML, etc. Yeah, good point.
That's a good point. It's what Peter said earlier. Well, it's like what Peter said. You can kind of step back and like improve the rebuilt modules in multiple ways, and this is one way that could be improved. Yeah.
And I mean, I know, and I can say this because I know you guys are not going to think I'm a rubbish developer, but my code that I did 6 years ago is way better now, even though in 6 years' time I'm going to look back and say my code 6 years before was rubbish. And I think that's only because I'm growing as a developer, and I think all devs, that needs to happen. So, you can look back and I can see, actually, the way I did that maybe wasn't so good for SEO. We constantly, and I'd imagine you guys as well, Nelson, constantly when we're doing stuff is improving the plugins, So even though you're not just seeing all these crazy new features, we're constantly improving things like that, But I think, yes.
Yeah, like accessibility, like occasionally, like what was it? We had, a couple, I forget which plugin, like someone gave us like a report, an accessibility audit or whatever that they did. They gave us all the info. We updated it all. It was something we had overlooked. So it's like, you kind of do those things every now and then. We're just always in a state of improvement. That's like, I think all of our plugins get like improvement updates even when there's no new features. And
we have to, and I think no product's perfect, just like no one is perfect. And as long as we just keep trying our best and improving the plugins, I think that's the only way forward, right?
I don't know what else. Is there anything else we should talk about? Anyone?
So I mean, the other things are like I think that's pretty much it, really. The other thing, there's some other stuff I wanted to talk about, but they're nothing major.
Maybe, I guess.
I wanted to ask you just what's your best software that you use to increase your productivity? Like, because you seem like a pretty productive guy.
Well, okay, that could go any direction. I'll tell you what. Last year, I don't know why it took me so long, but I started using. It's called Type Desk.
Okay, never heard of it actually.
Type Desk, and it's one of those like quick response, canned response. And the cool part is you can have a ton of variations within one reply. So like when I need to get login details, right? For a, check a bug or whatever.
Yes.
I could type that out, 5 times a day or whatever. Or I could just type in /log and boom, there's like this paragraph of text. And then I have variants of that. And some people probably have noticed this, some people probably picked up, but like it's the instructions that they need. And so you can't, here's the thing. So with Type Desk, a lot of like help desk tools have this already, but the advantage with like Type Desk is it's in the browser or your device. And so like, let's say over on the Divi Marketplace forum, like on the support forum there, I can use those same ones there. So I don't even set them up in my help desk.
That's clever.
I set them up in Type Desk. That way they go across. And even in like Facebook, for example, you could literally use them in Facebook or even in like the WordPress forum.
That does sound really cool because the Divi help is a pain of our support team, right?
And it's one of those things. It's a pain to set it up, but like you can have folders and categories, like even just, I don't know, like an answer to like a FAQ kind of thing, cool. You can type like a couple letters and then a screen will pop up and you can choose like a variant. So like even it'll fill in variables. Like if you have like, anyway, it's not to be less personal, because I find myself every time I type one and boom, there's a paragraph. I find myself personalizing it just out of my own nature. So it's not like it's not like it's a canned response. It's just even those canned responses. Not that you are being less personal. It's just a case of it's going to get the quickest help for the customer. That's So ultimately, it's helping. That's really cool. I'm definitely going to be looking into this. I'm not going to lie to you. My only other thing that I'll probably mention, so I went through so many inbox / help desk, those kind of tools for support, and it was such a struggle. I don't even know what all I used. I used Freshdesk. I used
you used Gmail at one point, didn't you?
Fluent Support. I tried Thrive Desk or something. And oh man, they were all buggy and so frustrating. And at the same time, I was still using my Gmail for like the regular contact form and using the other tool for like support at, and I was like, man, people are emailing me here, but it's support. So how can I move that over there? Or like someone's messaging me in support, it's actually to my personal, and it was like so crazy. So I am super, super, super happy for the past, since June, I have been exclusively using Gmail for my support. And that may sound funny, but I love it. Like, it's on my phone, it's accessible, it works, it doesn't have bugs, it has all the features of Gmail. And I'm using Gemelius. It's like Gmeius.
There we go, Gemelius.
I don't know how you say it. It's like Gmelius, maybe. I don't know. And I'm telling you what, that is awesome, because I get to use my regular Gmail to reply. And also, I have an assistant who helps me about 2 hours a day. So like morning and evening, she'll come in and check, and then she'll tag me on stuff, or she'll assign stuff to me. And you can do all that in Gemelius or Gemelius. And so we keep track of stuff. Like, we'll have a tag if this is waiting on the developer. Here's the license issue or whatever. We can tag it. Everything is like within Gmail, plus it's a shared inbox. So my assistant sees all the same emails as I do. Anything sent to support we both see. And we can both be in there typing at the same time, and we can both save drafts, or we can chat within. We end up chatting about the message.
Oh, so you can have internal notes essentially, can you?
Yeah. Yeah, like it's sort of like a chat on the side. So I realized you use something different, and that's going to be different for everyone.
Yeah.
But I went through such a headache of.
Yeah, I mean, we did too. I used Help Scouts, which is supposed to be really good. And there was just some real pain. I seems like all of them have a pain. One we're using now is Atlassian. And the reason why we're using that is because there's a really good dev, like we have like a dev board where we have all our dev tasks, and then we have our support tasks, and then they link together. So I can, let's say there's a bug in a support ticket, I can then move it onto the dev board, fix on the dev board, and when we release the plugin, mark it as released, and then it'll automatically email everybody saying, hey, this plugin's been released, this bug fix. I like that aspect of it.
That's really awesome. See, that's some of that I have to do manually, obviously. So
yes, so I was doing that manually, and then I was like, well, I need to think about this. But then it does have its downfalls. People have to sign up on their account there. I can't use the same I probably could use the same logins as WordPress, but that's sharing user data is probably not very wise. And if their documentation portal was better as well, we could have a really awesome documentation that links in with it, but their documentation side is just horrendous, so we can't use that. But I mean, everybody's different, isn't it? And we just got to find what works for us. Awesome. For me, it's got to be Jira, as I said, and Slack. Slack's like our go-to.
Okay.
Just for chatting. And Cosmos, which is this. This is, I mean, we have a Cosmos office, which we go to, which isn't this one. And we've got little work tables that we sit on. And I love the proximity chat. So you'll be working at one table, and if you want to speak to somebody, only the people on the table can hear you and not the whole office. And you can have your different, statuses. So you can set yourself to like focusing mode. Then people know, hey, Roby's focusing or Ben's focusing, and then Pavakana or Conanoy them, whatever. And then we have like the game section. We were doing like a Friday afternoon. We will have like a team get together and play some games together. We haven't done that in a while, and I think simply because we've just been so busy. We need to make more time just to chill. It's hard.
Yeah, that's definitely the most unique I don't know, meeting software or whatever we're calling this, virtual office software.
Well, we could carry on for days, Nelson, because I always love chatting to you. But I think naturally, that's a good fit.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, if anybody has any questions, maybe we can just open up. Not for too long, just because we've got a busy day ahead. But if anybody's got any questions to either one of us, or just any comments, now's your time.
Yeah.
I just won't say too much, just in case. But I think that everybody. I think that's it.
Yeah,
Cool.
you guys are very thorough. Donald did ask something about AI in Divi. I know he brought this up in his previous workshop. So just kind of seeing how people are utilizing that and what the other options are. Donald, if you're still here, definitely bring it up.
Yeah, I'm still here, but I'm not going to be the one who drags the meeting on for another 20 minutes, guys.
I love Donald. He's brilliant guy. So when you see him messaging you, Nelson, you'll know that he's always got good insights. But in AI, so Divi AI, obviously, I think they're doing their part. The image one seems a bit rubbish, but I think they can only improve that.
But they are going to have like a layout AI thing, like
that would be incredible. I think.
Yeah.
That'll be a big game changer.
So I thought of a question here.
Yeah.
Not about. I don't get into AI too much. It's too. I mean, we could talk about Sam Altman and OpenAI last week, but no. No, I just had a random question. How many tabs do you typically have open?
Oh my goodness. It depends. Okay, well let's just see right now. I've got one, two.
And I'd like to hear from other people too. That would be an interesting.
I've got 17.
Where does it say? Like, is it says
Ben's
somewhere?
got 17 open.
Let's see.
Sorry about that audio loop there.
Yeah, I've got 15 open.
All right. Roby has 4 Chrome profiles. There you go.
Yeah, 4 Chrome profiles, so 4 different windows with its own set of tabs, which is about 15 to 17 each. It's a nightmare.
Roby, what the heck?
Well, I'm logged into a lot of different things, man.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I didn't check my other ones, but I do try. So I have a tendency to just get loads, and then what I do is I then just close everything. And I'm a bit different. So like when I know from personal experience that Ben in our team, he hardly shuts down his PC, whereas I shut down my PC every night because I like to wake up and it kind of then opens up fresh. Pavak runs Linux, so I don't even know what he does. He probably cries when he turns on his Linux computer. Yeah, how many do you have then, Nelson?
Usually 30 at the minimum. And I usually do have them on one, like Chrome profile or whatever. What? And
that's even weirder than Roby.
And so like what happens is, so I have a bunch of them pinned. So there's like a group of like 8 that are pinned. So our project management tools are like Google Drive, and then like my Gmail. I have like my order screen in like my website pinned, because I'm always like looking up someone's order or whatever for a question. And then from there, it's like I have my design, my Figma stuff, because I design all my products in Figma. Okay. So like a lot of times I'll be going back and forth with comments and questions in Figma. So I just leave them up rather than loading it. And they snooze. They snooze now, so it's not like it's hurting performance. And then I have various like Google Docs. I just have like multiple things I'm working on. Usually like with one support ticket, for example, it'll require multiple tabs just because.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You start opening up and you end up with loads of tabs and then.
But I'm really good at closing them too. So like I only have the ones that I continue to use up. So now I could probably get down. I need to get down to about, on a typical day, I'd probably only have like 24. But,
Oh, wow.
but I probably should look into like trying to think if I could use different profiles, but I don't know.
Yeah, see, I've always tried to think of ways to put stuff into groups and be more organized with them all, but I personally just have a habit of, I like everything out and visible for me. So I have many screens, so I don't actually have to go looking for something. So I have one browser which will be just for support, one which is for dev and things like that. So I can just see everything constantly. I don't like going looking for stuff. But yeah.
That's exactly why I do it that way. I have my different browsers for different things, like one support related, one's tutorial related, one's my personal nonsense Gmail tab, whatever. And I don't know what the other one is. WP enhanced, I think.
See, I don't want them to be separate. I want them to all be a nice one happy window.
It makes me cry. No, I can't.
And then sometimes I come and I'll be like, what are all these tabs? Here's like Pinterest and whatever. And here my wife got on the computer and left all her tabs.
Oh, no.
It's like,
oh, no.
The system is messed.
Yeah, well, that's why, I mean, my wife's tech illiterate. So I set up a Google profile for her and then she can just play on there. And she won't see that as being nasty because she'll agree.
yeah.
Mark, you had your hand up. Did you have anything to say, or was that a mistake? Don't know. Mark raised his hand.
But I.
Oh.
What happened?
It's Fluent that they released their membership plugin. If you were kind of
Oh. Sorry, Mark. It keeps dropping in and out. I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
Oh. I can hear like.
Never mind.
We barely heard much.
Maybe if you message in the chat. Sorry, Mark.
Try typing it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. Like you'll say a bit and then drop out and then come at the end. But yeah, happy to chat.
It's probably the most appropriate place to say it, but technology is great until it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, it was awesome just to chat though.
Yeah, hopefully it wasn't too boring. I don't know. This is what.
I don't think so. I think I find it certainly interesting. Hearing from your side and how it's similar in many ways, but how we do things differently and how we approach things differently. But
yeah, that's what makes the world go around, they say.
Exactly. But for me too, I just think you need to just continue doing what you're doing, and you're doing an awesome job. So yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know any plans or any. Do you sort of got into like another sister company, right? Is that what's going on with that?
Yeah, so a while ago, I wanted to dive into the broader WordPress market for a while, and there were some plugins that we kind of came to light that we could purchase from this one guy, and they were free plugins. There's one paid pro version, so they're called free. The main one is free downloads for
free downloads for WooCommerce.
Free downloads for WooCommerce. My brain is dead. And pretty much it allows you to have, like Shutterstock, where you can go, you buy, and you can just download the images from there. So it actually works really well with like WooCommerce membership, for example. And you can pay for a membership site and get access to downloads that are free. But instead of having to then purchase and go to the checkout and then download from the account page, you can just click on the product page, download now. That's the kind of idea. So you can create sites like Shutterstock. That's just one example.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so we purchased the plugins from him, and then we created WP Enhanced. But at that time, when we did that, a whole bunch happened in Divi Engine, but also my personal life. Like, a lot happened, and it just like hit us all for six, or me in particular. So the plans of kind of pushing that kind of were on hold a bit, you know.
Yeah.
And as well as I never wanted it to impact Divi Engine, you know. I didn't want to then go, okay, let's jump on this new shiny WP Enhanced, and then Divi Engine just goes, no, and then we, you know, because you know, I do like Divi, I do care for Divi, and we want to make sure that we still looking after Divi Engine users, you know. So so that's why we haven't really done too much there. We've released one plugin, we've improved it quite a lot by, you know, integrating with like WooCommerce bundles and things like that. And we're working on quite a big product that should be launched next year for that company as well.
Okay.
It should be an awesome plugin. I can't say too much just yet.
Yeah.
But
nice.
I think it should be a really, it should be a really awesome plugin that fits well with that company. But at the same time, you know, and this is the thing, you know, it's not like I'm just going to run away from Divi now and go, hey, Divi 5, oh, it's too hard, let's run away and just go and focus on that, you know, because that's not what we're about, you know. So, you know, in a way, I always wanted WP Enhanced to kind of pay for itself, so it's not a strain, you know. And that's the whole goal, is to have them as separate companies that kind of, you know, going together, and they're not going to impact each other, though. And ultimately make it better for each other.
Yeah, I kind of had that same thing where I put out publicly my other products I'm working on our homepage, and people saw me like making add-ons for ShoreCart, for example. And
I saw that.
Like someone was like, oh, you know, that's going to take you away from Divi. And I'm like, no, that's literally like an entirely different team. Like, it's completely different developers. They're not associated in any way. And plus it's like a really small project. Like they're really small at this point. So the interesting though, like right when a couple of people were asking me, like feeling concerned, like, oh, are you leaving Divi? It's like, boom, I like released a whole bunch of like big updates and new products and stuff. I was like, see, there you go. So that's always fun. Like if you're planning to like release your other thing, like just have something ready for Divi to like release and just be like, boom, see here. Yeah. Like, you know, it just shows like, hey, you're still here. Like this is still your focus. So like, I have a product. I told you I'm using Gmail for support. So I have a product called WP Inbox. It's so close. Like it's so close to being released. Basically, when someone emails me, it's a Gmail Chrome, you know, extension, and it connects to a WordPress plugin. So, for example, on my site, PA Creative, I have WP Inbox installed, and it's connected to like WooCommerce, Fluent CRM, like LearnDash, like all of that stuff, right? And then the plugin is connected through API to the Chrome extension. So as soon as someone emails me, I can literally see in the sidebar everything about that person from my website. I can see, okay, they're from like British Columbia. They're 5 hours ahead of me or whatever. They're a member. They've taken 3 of my courses. They've bought this much. Here's how much money they've had. Oh, they left me a review. Oh, that's cool. I can know all of that stuff about them when I'm replying to them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
And so it's
obviously
so
you've developed that out of a need for yourself, isn't it? Like you've needed that.
Exactly. So that was what the idea was born about. I think it was like last October. I had the idea. And I went to my team and I was like, what do you think of this idea? And they're like, oh yeah, that's just like a JavaScript like app, you know, like, and then I was like, well, let's make it for Gmail. And that'll be like the test or whatever, like the prototype version 1, like for Gmail. And then we were like, you know what, we can make this work for Help Scout and for literally every other inbox. So the advantage of this is you have a we'll call it a connector plugin or something installed on your site. So if you have students, members, e-commerce, obviously, reviews, Fluent CRM like MailChimp, if you have any of that on your website, all of that is like compiled in the sidebar at a glance.
Dude, I think that's awesome. Like, because we were using HubSpot before, and the only one there was some rubbish one for WooCommerce, and then the other one was I was using Meteoric, which is like a reporting plugin or reporting software, and that had integration with HubSpot, and that worked really well. But obviously, you're having to pay for the reporting. So I think that's a really good idea.
It's a smaller investment. Like it's not super complicated, honestly.
Yeah.
But it's really handy because a lot of times I'll have someone saying, hey, something about their order or whatever. And in the sidebar, if I click like the little icon, it'll literally open up their order on my website. So it's like, it saves you 7 steps.
That's really cool.
On a note of that, what I would say from if I was a customer of that, I would say, give it the ability to add multiple email addresses for the one account, because you know what people are like. They order on one email address. And
we already have that. Yeah, we already have that. So if someone emails you in the sidebar, it'll say no match contacts, something like that. And if I'm like, hey, I recognize this person or whatever, you click a little button to associate that contact with the account.
Email.
And all you do is you search in a little search bar, and boom, and then all their stuff pops up because you've associated that person with them.
Could you extend this support to Jira, please? Because that would save me a lot of work, so I don't have to go and do this for us. Because I know what the conversation will be after this. Will be a prod from Pete. Like maybe
we need to do it for us, and we just haven't had time to do it for us.
No.
So there's probably 2 things we'll have to look at. Will it work with just the Chrome extension for like these other apps?
Yes.
Or do we have to build like a native like help Scout app? You know what I mean? We're gonna have to check that. Whether it has to be a built-in app or at the very least, like I think we could have it like you click like a button in the Chrome extension, like one end, like even in Facebook, for example. If someone's on Facebook with the same user email, like you could use it there. You know what I mean? Or in the WordPress forum, like when you're in the WordPress forum, like for WordPress. I've all kind of anyway. I'll stop talking. That's like something I'm excited about beyond Divi, I guess. But yeah,
it sounds awesome. But yeah, our new product is too early. Well, to shout about it.
That's fine. Yeah. Mine's pretty soon coming, and we're just trying to.
Well.
Yeah.
Make it with Jira, and we'll be a customer. Cool. Yeah, nice one.
Oh, was there something in the chat?
Was there something else in the chat? I think Mark was going to say something. Mark did say something, but then
Mark disappeared.
Yeah, it was nice to see you, Mark. If you're still here, where have you gone?
Yeah, Mark.
He's gone.
And
Mark,
Jay's come, man. Jay's all the way from New Zealand. Oh my goodness. What's it? I'm not even going to ask you to talk, Jay, but it's 4:30 in the morning there. Wow.
And it's funny how we do have mutual customers. Like. I think I told you the other day, like it is not uncommon for me to like log in to a customer website to like debug something, and there's Divi Engine stuff. Like it's not uncommon. It's interesting.
Yes. Yeah. No, I agree. I think it just shows that we both have awesome. We both have awesome customers. There we go.
Yeah, and it shows that that we have different offerings too.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, exactly.
Well, all right. I hear my family squealing. My 2 little girls are probably ready to my office or whatever is like our dining room. So.
I'm lucky enough that last summer, was it last summer? No, 2 years ago. I built my own office in the garden, and so I work from there, which is amazing because it just, having a little bit of space, you can get away from the noise a little bit.
Yeah, like when I do like tutorial videos and like edit videos,
Oh, it must be hard for you.
I wait till they go to bed. I mean, it's or up in the morning, you know, or if they leave for something. So
Yeah.
it can be frustrating, but I also like it. So I don't know.
I mean, we could talk more about like how we manage family life with work, because I think that must be quite tough. Doing the videos in the evening, and then obviously you need to spend time with your wife, and you know the amount of videos you churn out, it must be quite hard.
Well, like usually it's usually once a week, and then if I have like an update video.
Okay.
So it's really not that many.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it'll be every night, because I'd film the video wrong every time and have to read it. So.
No, my take is very simple. Like if I mess up and I know I messed up, I'll just redo that part.
Yeah.
But I don't edit. I just like cut out spaces or things that I need to cut out, and boom, I export it. I don't do anything else. Like, and whatever, that seems to be fine. So, but yeah, the whole family. Who did I just read? They don't call it work-life balance. They call it work-life harmony or something. Some CEO said that.
It is. I mean, it's really hard to manage, you know, like the work life, especially nowadays. A lot of us working from home, and you know.
Yeah. I have friends who like think it's. I have friends who like sort of joke about it, like oh, you're at home in your pajamas all day or whatever. And like you have it so good, they'll say, like, you have it so good, you work from home. And I'll just be like, yeah, like there are a lot of pros to that. Like there's also some cons. So it's like, and I usually admit to them, I was like, yeah, there's more pros and cons, but there are cons. So like, anyway, some of my cons are that my hours get all messed up. We may need to do something as a family, or we may go outside and jump on the trampoline in the middle of the day randomly.
Yeah.
Or we may go get groceries like randomly in the middle of the day. And
you can see that's a pro, man. That's a pro to be able to do that.
Right, but we do that as a family. We do a lot of that stuff as a family. So the con I was getting to is therefore then I end up working in the evening.
Yes.
Like some people have this as thing where it's like you work 9 to 5 and then the rest is family time. Well, for me, it's so chopped up.
Yeah.
That I would have to do math, like how much do I work versus how much I'm with them. It's like, it's something to think about. But
well, I actually, I mean, on a personal level, I actually started taking Fridays off because I found I was just working so much, like during the days and evenings, and I needed to be intentional about taking time off to spend like with my family.
And you still show up on Fridays, Pete. Let's be honest.
only recently, but yeah, no, it's hard. Whereas before, I would like take Wednesday mornings off to spend with my wife. Whereas now it's Fridays.
Yeah.
And you need to be flexible and change that. But like last night, I was just sitting on the sofa, working on the sofa. What do you call it over there? Couch. Well, in South Africa, we call it couch. I just live in the UK now, so I say sofa. But I was sitting on the couch and I was working till 11, 12 in the evening, just on the sofa. Whereas if you work a 9 to 5 job, you come home and that's it, really.
Yeah.
But it gives that flexibility, which I love.
Yeah. Speaking of which, what's this like bespoke thing? Like, what's that? Like
what? Bespoke. What? Do you not use that word in America?
Like, what is that? I have no idea what that is.
Bespoke.
We do not use that word at all in America. At all.
You don't use the word spoke like a bicycle spoke. A bicycle spoke? No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'm just taking you off track. Bespoke means like unique.
Is it like
one off?
Where have you seen that? Where have you seen bespoke?
I see it on your site, but I've never
on our
seen
site.
it anywhere
It's
else.
on our copy. Yeah.
I've never seen it anywhere else, and we do not use that here at all. Like, I was like,
I mean, Americans.
You should slap the guy that wrote that copy.
Americans kill English though, so let's be honest.
all right.
Do you know what's yeah, I'm just joking. I grew up in South Africa, and a lot of our English was from American TV and stuff. So for me, like we say pants, whereas over here pants is like underwear, you know. So I grew up pretty much speaking like American English, and then I came to the UK and I was like, hey, what?
Yeah.
That was funny.
Well,
Awesome,
yeah,
dude.
I guess we should get
Crack
to work
on.
or whatever. But
Nelson, for coming over. Really appreciate you spending your time. And it was just nice just to hang out and chat, and everybody else get to know you a bit more, because I know you, and it's nice just for other people to see the real Nelson,
Hey, Pete.
Yes.
Sorry, it's Jay here from New Zealand. Obviously,
Hey,
I'm
Jay.
trying to keep it quiet because it's like 4:40 in the morning and everyone's still asleep. But I have a question for Nelson quickly. Don't take too much time. Is there a big pain when people buy from the marketplace as opposed to your website? Because I learned a hard lesson buying on the marketplace, and then finding that the updates would take so long
yeah.
to be released on the marketplace. It was just painful.
So
I'd say the update, and then ages later it would come out.
So I have been trying to decide, do I want to do like a blog post and video on this topic or not? I thought of like comparing it, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to or not. But that raises so many questions. I have like a huge list of like pros and cons for me as a vendor, and then from a customer. And it's actually a ridiculous amount of things to consider. Like it's more than even on the surface. Like obviously their forum is pathetic, like their support forum, and they don't update it. If you could see how bad it is for us to add a product, if I paste text, it literally booms, goes to the top. And like there are so many bugs behind the scenes. I've made videos, I've shown them to Nick in person, and it's just like, yeah, well, our guy's going to be on, Yuri is the only guy in the whole company that can touch Divi Marketplace development. Well, he's always working on like Divi Cloud and Divi AI, and he works on that kind of stuff. So there's one person in the whole company that can work on it, and he keeps saying, oh, they're going to do that. They're going to do another sprint. And I haven't seen that. But it is so bad from my end when I'm like adding or updating a product. It is so bad. Then the forum obviously is terrible. There's some vendors who won't even use it. They'll say, here, contact us here. And they won't even use it. I'm scared that people will get mad if I do that. Then the notifications, they do not come into your inbox correctly. They thread all together no matter what. And so you have to like make sure you've even got the notifications. There's no notification when I even log in. It doesn't say, hey, you have these awaiting reply, or there's nothing like that from a vendor. Now they take 30%, which is standard, or whatever. That's, you know that they're getting traffic. They're getting you traffic. They're getting your eyeballs. So that's what costs 30%. And so I don't complain about that, because that's what I signed up for. I knew, you know what I mean? Like I knew that's part of the agreement. Signing up, they take 30%. Their renewals are not automatic, as far as I know. People have complained about that. Their updates.
Apparently they are, Nelson. So if you have like your Divi API key, apparently they are, and then this morning.
No. I mean the renewals. The renewals are not.
Oh, the renewals are not. But even the updates, like literally this morning, I had a customer say to me, they're on version 3.1.1 of Ajax filter, and we've released 3.1.4. And they're like, we don't get the update. And I'm like, well, contact Divi. And then Divi, the support said to them, you have to upload it manually. And I'm like, hey, what? No?
Well, that's not normal.
I know. And then I messaged like on the Divi Slack channel, and then they're like, no, that's not normal. And I'm like, well, then why is your support telling them that?
So like when I released Divi Assistant, I had people message me, is this going to be on Divi Marketplace? And I was like, eventually. It's like, it was so like back of mind. Like that was not number one priority to get it on the marketplace, Well,
I don't know if you've noticed how many of our plugins are on there.
Certainly not all of them. Like
we only have 3 on there, and it's because of that. It's just the pain of the support, It's not the 30%. I'd happily give it to them. It's the pain of updating support.
It really is a pain. But from a customer perspective, I can see the advantage where people want to have them all in their Elegant Themes account.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. If someone wants that, I'm not criticizing that. That's kind of their choice, but it's kind of like sure, like I make money on the Divi Marketplace. I'm not downing them. I'm just saying there's pros and cons. People, what often happens is people want lifetime, so they come to my website, and then I have to give them very specific instructions. You have to replace the plugin file because their plugin file has different code in it basically for the update system. So now you've got to manually replace it, and then they'll say, "Well, is that going to mess up my settings?" No. And then it's like the whole process every single time. So I finally made a page for Divi Marketplace customers on my website. Like here's exactly what to do when you're switching to our website. But yeah, the support is a pain. It's such a pain. Like, and if someone gives a review, like it doesn't tell you. It's just stuff like I like to reply to reviews. There's so many things that they could improve. Like maybe by next year it'll be like amazing. They really could make it a lot better. It's like right now, like I have so many products waiting for updates. It's because of like the whole Black Friday thing. Their whole team has to shift, I think. Like there's so many. I have some that I didn't even submit. I'm like, I'm not submitting them. They're not getting checked right now anyway. So yeah, buying direct was one way to get the update up to 2 weeks faster.
That's my gripe really. It's got nothing to do with everything I just talked about. It's the fact that I think as a consumer or a customer, you don't actually know. You're not told that if you buy via the marketplace, there's going to be delayed these updates, and I think that's so crucial because then it just creates a lot of workload for you guys. You know, it's unfair, isn't it? You're like, oh, it's not updating.
The worst part of any of that process is when 2 weeks have gone by and it's still not approved, and now you found like a bug in that version. Now what? Now you have the next version already released to your customers. Now what?
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll message like whatever the email is for the review team. And I'll be like, hey, can you reject this? I have another update already because the other one isn't approved. I don't want people installing that one. I want them installing the latest one. And so that's probably the biggest hiccup with that, where you release an update while one is still pending previously.
Whereas on your website, you can, like this.
It's just instant.
Yeah. I mean, like, not to try to push people away, but I would definitely recommend more, using the vendor, using Divi Engine, for example, just because it's so much easier for us to offer you better support, and also, the updates are just instant.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I just think that it should be more as the elephants in the room should be told to people so they can make a choice. Sometimes it's they look at the cost saving. Oh, I can save money. It's cheaper if I buy on the marketplace. But the compromise is obviously the updates, and I think you can make a better informed decision. I learned the hard way, last Black Friday.
Our prices are the same on there. So like when the marketplace was released, it forced me to like think about my unlimited annual pricing because they have unlimited annual only. So I had to match that, but then my other options can be whatever. So I had to sort of set like, this is the same price on Marketplace. Now, they do run like a summer sale, anniversary sale, or whatever. And
which you don't get involved with, do you? Because you don't do that sales yourself.
Well, I don't do it on my website. I would have to like, it would be kind of weird for me to like match their sale for like their anniversary or like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it would be kind of weird, but I guess I could. I mean, but then so technically, yeah, like Jay said, it's cheaper. It might be cheaper during one of their sales. But I guess like I don't know what happens when they renew. There's not a lot of details I don't know about Divi Marketplace, like when they renew, like how it works and what price is it, or I don't know.
Guys, just when you were talking there about, the marketplace plugin is different to the one that you're providing directly. There was a guy on WP Tuts on YouTube last week, and he was adding a plugin. And when you added the plugin, the one thing the plugin did was told you go here and add, call it the real plugin. Is that something you guys could do, where it's kind of a promotional link type plugin is in the marketplace, and when somebody installs it, it directs them to go to your website and download.
Oh my God.
If you want to get banned, no, it won't. They review everything. They review links. They actually have like guidelines that we have to follow, and that's part of the review. So I accidentally had an affiliate link because when I think it was to like the events calendar or something, my other product. So in my documentation, I have an affiliate link, and I clearly say, "Hey, here's an affiliate link." Well, I just copied everything over for like the documentation on the marketplace without realizing it, and there was an affiliate link, and they caught that, and they had to reject it, and I had to remove that. Like I didn't try it, but like it's just a little example of
Nelson. We all know you try to get loads of money to the event calendar. It's an interesting idea to know, but I think we'll get a slap on the wrist.
Yeah. I'm not against the Divi Marketplace. It gets a lot of traffic, and that's why I'm there. Like, I guess I could say the pros outweigh the cons. I don't know. I guess. I don't know if that traffic would come to my site if I stopped. Like, how would I know that?
I think so. I mean, I'm not saying you should, but you have a lot of people come to your blog all the time. I mean, I come to your blog sometimes.
But like Divi Assistant, I didn't release that yet on Marketplace, and I'm almost like, should I or shouldn't I? Like, I don't know. Like, I guess, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Hey, quick question for you again, Nelson. Sorry, I've got lots of questions. My bad. Is there going to be much of a crossover between the responsive helper and the assistant? Because I think they're both kind of, obviously the assistant's way better. It's like 10xing obviously the responsive helper, but I'm just wondering whether or not that kind of the responsive helper becomes stagnant now because you can do so much more in some ways with the assistant plugin.
Yeah. Well, right now the only thing that's the same is like text sizes, global text sizes. As far as I know, that's the only thing that overlaps, and it's much more complete and fuller in Divi Assistant on purpose. With the Divi Responsive Helper, the text sizes were meant, set your desktop font size, tablet font size, and phone font size. That's all it was supposed to be. And that's probably where it will remain there. I don't know. There's sure, could I take all of my products and put them all in Divi Assistant? Sure. Like, I don't see that happening. And that's a question. Like I have dynamic helper adds like very specific features that could be in Divi Assistant. Should it be in both could become a question. There's always going to be those people who want a specific thing, and this is Peter and I have to decide on this when we make a new product. Like. Does someone want this specific feature as a plugin, or maybe this collection of specific features? Or should it be just added to your main bigger plugin? That's a question I'll face more and more. I'm going to face that more and more. Maybe I need to get like feedback on that. Like, I think what I would do before I would like get rid of like dynamic help or responsive help, before I would get rid of anything like that, I would have them in both maybe. Like, I can see having them in both and, like, clearly saying that rather than just completely migrating them all together. I don't know.
Yeah, it's from my experience, because we have Ajax filter that's in Divi Machine and Body Commerce. And I mean, if you know a better way, but from the dev point of view, it's hard to try and update the code on all 3 repos. It is quite tricky.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm trying to avoid. I'm trying to avoid overlap. I will probably add some layout settings from Divi Responsive Helper to Divi Assistant. But like, there's so many customers on Divi Assistant now. If someone would come to me and be like, "I'm only using these features in Responsive Helper. Could I like upgrade to Divi Assistant and with a coupon or something?" Sure, like you know what I mean? I'll evaluate that. But like, in general, they're separate. They do separate things. Like, at this point, the Responsive Helper has like 50 settings, and only one is a crossover. So I'll have to decide going forward, what do I do with that? Yeah.
Thanks, Jay. There you go. It's all kicking off now. I love it. For me, like I love hearing that. Like when we have like a team meeting and some of the kids in the background, it just shows the reality of life, right?
Yeah, but right now it sounded like they were fussing at each other.
Sibling rivalry. Cool, guys. So I think we'll call it a quits now. But yeah, thanks, Nelson. Thanks for everybody coming along and hanging out with us. It was awesome. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks, Nelson.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
have a good night or whatever it is wherever you are. And I don't know how to get out of here, but we'll try.
Just close the browser. Close one of your 30 browser tabs.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, let me get back to the map here. Just look around here a little.
Yeah.
Maybe I could go check out these trees over here.
You can go for a swim, and you can go into our reflection
I can't
area. Where you can look in the pond and reflect on that. You can go for a swim in the swimming pool. I'm going to head off. You guys are welcome to hang about if you want. I'm going to head off because my life of kids now gets a bit crazy after school. And then, yes, go rest.
All right. See you, everyone.
Great to hear from you, Nelson.
Okay, bye.
See you, Nelson. Thanks. See you, everyone.